Hi. So I haven't done one of these guys in a while. I like the going through the garden from a video perspective. It makes documentation much easier. See where you come from and what you've planted, how the garden looked at certain points. So without further ado, I think we have a look what we've done so far. We're busy moving into the winter period at the moment. Well, June and July is basically our winter months. Today is the 8th of June. So we're in the winter now, but as you can see, everything is still green and lush. Our maximum is about 25 on a daily basis, and minimums it gets down to about 13 degrees Celsius. So not too cold. We're a few hundred meters from the coastline, so it's nice and warm here at least. But yeah, without further ado, here behind me we've got a box with some onions in it, both red onions and the normal white ones. We've got some leeks in here as well, and the plan is to remove this box after a while, but the stuff has been growing in there, so I'm going to let them finish growing and then we can remove the box after that. And then the newest addition that we've done in the last sort of 2 months to expand the garden out, we used to have three boxes about this size and some tires we were growing in. We then put these two garden beds in behind me, and then in the last couple of months, maybe about a month ago, we put all of these garden beds in here. So we added an extra 11 garden beds in there with these two long ones as well, and then we built a trellis on these two long ones. So the trellis I am very excited for, to eventually have proper coverage over it and everything. Currently we have grenadillas growing here. So the stuff's been planted out quite recently. There's grenadillas and there's a moon, and then we're growing sugar snap peas here as well. I don't expect them to trellis up too far, but some of them have started doing quite well. I don't think that they're going to cover the trellis, but it's a nice start as well. And then we've just used our own grass clippings and the leaves falling from the trees to mulch all the beds throughout all of it, and obviously from the chicken coop as well. But so the sugar snap peas are doing quite well, and food forest has been expanding. We're getting there. We're getting there. I've recently planted two more pepino melons, so I got one pepino melon here. We got some flowers going, so hopefully we get something from there soon. I love pepino melons. And the tamarillo trees just gotten bigger and bigger. We got some blueberry bushes that have been shocked a little bit by heavy rains we had recently, and then another tamarillo tree there. We've set up the 3-bay compost system there out of pallets that we had lying around, with some old zinc roofing that we had lying around for the final product, and very excited for that compost to keep coming. And we have the orange tree here that started making some nice oranges. We got a sizable one over here already, the back. So the orange tree's carrying on. Here is the only part of this food forest we sort of integrated with each other. So there's a calamondan tree there, and a lemon tree there, and a mango tree there, and we've put these um, connections in between them where we've planted things like lavender, sweet assalium, catnip, and there were marigolds planted all over here, but they died back from the winter now. There's gooseberries there. The sacred basil is amazing with pollinators. There's so many bees and things on here on a daily basis. So this thing has been fantastic for us from a pollination perspective. Here's a third pepino melon, but that one's not doing so well. I think it's been blocked out from a lot of sun. And then this mango tree is growing quite nicely. We're moving in the right direction here. The strawberries have started coming through. We got a couple of chilies down there at the bottom. But let me move back to the vegetables quickly. So we used to have just normal grass between the vegetable gardens, and this last week we've bit by bit moved soil in here as well. Unfortunately, some red building soil, but it works because the ground is very sludgy. So it would rain and the water would just sit there for upwards of a week and eventually turn into sort of a thick mud sludge sort of a thing that we found attracts a lot of mosquitoes and doesn't smell fantastic. So we've laid some tarp down and we've backfilled with soil, and hopefully we're going to make some cement pavers that we can use to walk around on, and we can fill this area. So in this garden bed here behind me, we have got beans and we've got some tomato plants as well. I still need to put the cages around the tomato plants so that they stop them from sprouting out. We've grown tomatoes with other things in the past, and it just gets very, very, very bushy. So we've got a patch there at the back behind the greenhouse where the chickens used to stay. And from giving them tomatoes, there's a giant wild tomato patch. Then I don't really want a garden bed to be that overwhelmed with tomatoes. Then here we've got a bunch of pak choy as well. The pak choy has been growing very nicely. So we planted these out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So stuff's growing very nicely, very quickly. Um, we have some pest damage on that side there, but I tend to try plant things in abundance. So there is enough to go around as well. I do like to give the chicken some of the vegetables as well when there is excess. So losing a few of them is not a train wreck. Then here behind me we have a box with peppers in it, yellow peppers, green peppers, and red peppers. We've had a lot of very high winds over the last couple weeks, and now the peppers seem to be snapping at the base of the stem, or the leaves are coming off when the winds get really high. So we started with 18 peppers. There's 3 left. So I do have some pepper seeds. We'll start pepper seeds in the greenhouse this week and hopefully replace some of those pepper plants. Then at the back here we've planted some potatoes. They haven't sprouted yet. We're still waiting for the potatoes to sprout out, but very excited for that. And then on this side here we got 4 different varieties of lettuce. And one thing that I've upset about with these garden beds is I never put any bars in them to try keep the garden beds together, so most of them bow out quite substantially. So that's really unfortunate, and I didn't think before I did. So eventually they'll be replaced with wooden garden beds, I think, and I can char those wooden garden beds, get some extra years on them. But for now, this will do. Nothing's caving in, and we can grow vegetables in it, so all is well. Then this side here, we've got carrots planted, we've got spring onions, we've got some more red onions, and then here we have some eggplants growing and beetroots in between them, and then spinach and Swiss chard on this side, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage on this side here. So they started coming in quite nicely. Some of them are bigger than others. And then on this side we have kale and rocket. And then the final garden bed is this big one over here where we plant sweet potatoes. We love sweet potatoes. Some of them have started sprouting. We've got a couple of little sproutlings there, but we're still for the most part waiting for them to come in as well. So that's the vegetable situation at the moment. And then behind me here we have the old chicken coop that we've converted into greenhouse. We've put some shelving in there and everything, and the idea is to start seedlings from there. So eventually this area behind me here, we'd like to replicate this setup behind me, but on that side, and expand the veggie garden out a little bit, or a lot, double it in size. But every year as we go on, we're growing more and more. The last thing I want is for us to have too much to handle at a point, and then everything gets a bit overwhelming. But this is the area here where the chickens used to have their run, and there's lettuce popping out and butternuts popping out, squash popping out, cherry tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. So you can see here there is so many tomatoes in here, and they're coming out. So I've just let them grow. We're not going to do anything with this area for time being, so I figured why not just let them grow. And then I see here some brinjals coming out as well. And then here is the chicken coop that we've done. So it goes all the way down to the dam there at the bottom, and there's a nice big chicken coop at the top there. So we've dug this dam with a trench. We used to have a lot of waterlogging issues, so we've dug this trench now that takes all the water from a stormwater drain in front of the property, rediverts it into the trench, takes it down to the dam, and then there's a trench that leads to a pipe that we've dug in underground that comes out in a little stream right just on the outside of the property, so everything feeds in. And here are some of the chickens under their favorite tree. They are molting at the moment, so we have had a massive reduction in eggs for a good month or so, but they're losing feathers. They seem to be gaining them back a little bit at least, which is positive, but it's not been fun for a while. We're getting about 1 egg a day from the 12 hens, so a group molt isn't always as common, but in this instance, that's what's happened. So we moved them from their coop. We got rid of the rooster, and the winter started all at this sort of same period. So I think based on a bunch of environmental factors and their situation, unfortunately they all just decided to do this molting thing together. So here is the greenhouse. We've left the floor as is, and we've now spoken about potentially getting some quails, maybe 10 quails or so that can live in here. And we put some pine shavings down on the floor, and then we can start raising quails for eggs and meat as well. And we've put these shelves up here, and eventually I'd like to put some irrigation on the roof. I just need to finish those last two panels on that side. And we have got trays ready for seeds that we want to put in this week. So this is the old chicken coop that's now been converted into the greenhouse, and I'm excited to get it used. It's we haven't really used it at this point yet. We're storing some things in it, but in this new season now, we've decided instead of succession planting with seedlings already grown seedlings, we can try buy the seedlings, put them in the ground, and then start our own seeds for the succession planting. And then around the food forest here, we've got the orange tree. We've got another mango tree here. The mango tree there. There's a kumquat tree there. There's some gooseberry shrubs that, unfortunately, we moved them from a garden bed because they got too big for the garden bed, and they sort of struggled to recover. But some of them are getting there better than others. And then we've got the two small pomegranate trees that have also struggled to take off. So the idea eventually is to interconnect all of these trees with one another so that we create pathways between the interconnected trees. And as the trees grow and create some form of a canopy, we have different varieties of trees that will create different points in permaculture layers. So that's the idea eventually. And then to keep expanding the trees down, going that way to the dam. And the idea is as well in the next few months now with the winter to try to drain the dam, because a lot of it is groundwater there in the dam, to drain the dam and dig it further all the way to the end there, because we don't really use that corner for anything. And hopefully we can attract some wild ducks to come stay this side as well. So I've got a couple of issues that I've had with some of the trees. The lychee trees haven't grown too well, and a lime tree and a nachi tree have also bombed out, but so we learn. I planted them in very wet areas, and I planted them too low, so they got very waterlogged, and it just didn't end up working out for those. So those I have to replace. One thing I'm very, very excited about is this behind me. We built this about 2 months ago for dragon fruit. I love dragon fruit. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to get my hands on any dragon fruit cuttings or starters or anything. So that's been very unfortunate because I built it. I saw it at nurseries, dragon fruits, and then we built it, and then there were no more dragon fruits at the nurseries. So I'm still trying to get my hands on some of those, but it is ready for as soon as I can do. But that's basically what we have going on in the garden at the moment. There are a total of 12 laying hens, 13 in total if you count that. There was one chick that hatched out 3 months ago, and she will get to laying point soon enough. But I I'm excited for us to get the eggs going again and for the molting to stop. But yeah, that's the update that I have for the garden at the moment.